Continuing from the previous episode 442. Chapter 1371. Leaving the GU realm, GU Yuan studied the somewhat embarrassed face of Xiao Yan from within the bamboo forest before glancing at the quiet bamboo house. All he could do was sigh. Even though he was Xuan-Er's father, it was the first time that he had seen Xuan-Er be this intimate with a man. "You should have met Xiao Zhan, right?" GU Yan faintly asked. He stepped into the moonlight and slowly walked toward the embarrassed Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan was a little startled. He hesitated for a moment before replying, "Yes, I've met him. I am able to sense the bloodline strength within your body. It is likely that it should be the last bloodline of the Xiao clan." GU Yuan clicked his tongue and sighed. It is indeed not easy for Xiao Zhan to do such a thing. He is willing to turn himself into that in order to help the Xiao clan retain its final seed. Xiao Yan was silent. He naturally understood that the heavenly tomb was an enormous prison. As energy bodies, Xiao Zhan and the others were just prisoners within it. Although they were able to live in another form, they had to endure an endless loneliness. "Elder GU Yuan, is there no way to help him escape?" Xiao Yan's voice was a little soft as he inquired. "At the very least, even I do not have the ability to do so. It is rumored that the heavenly tomb was created by an elite Dou Di a long time ago. If one wishes to break the rules within it and allow Xiao Zhan to escape, perhaps one must also reach that level." GU Yuan shook his head. Xiao Yan could clearly sense the complicated expression on GU Yuan's face when he mentioned the words, Dou Di. This class was like a heavy burden that pressed on the souls of the people from the ancient clans. It drove all of them to put in all their effort. Dou Di, Xiao Yan bitterly laughed. This kind of legendary existence was really too unimaginable. Even GU Yuan in front of him, who could be called one of the true top experts in the Douqi continent, would likely only have a heart filled with fear and respect because of these two simple words. Does this world truly have an existence known as Dou Di? GU Yuan became quiet when he heard Xiao Yan's question. A moment later, he finally muttered to himself, who knows? One would be like a god overlooking the continent at that level. Everyone will likely be ant-like existences in their as. There, Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes. However, he was not aware what GU Yuan's words meant. Was this so-called merely illusory, or did it truly refer to some existence? GU Yuan waved his large hand while Xiao Yan was considering the answer. He said, "You will be leaving tomorrow. Be careful. Given your current strength, those elders from the GU clan are unlikely to make things overly difficult for you. However, due to the matter of the Ling clan, Xuan-Er will not be able to leave the GU realm for the time being." Xiao Yan nodded and replied, "Does Elder GU Yuan think that the change in the Ling realm this time around is the result of a man-made or a natural disaster?" GU Yuan frowned in the face of Xiao Yan's question. He replied, "We are not very sure about this, but I think that they have met with a great trouble. The chances of it being caused by man is very low. After all, the Ling clan's strength could be ranked among the super factions on the continent. Even the GU clan has difficulty forcing them to such an extent." "What if it was the Han clan?" Xiao Yan slowly asked. Back in the heavenly tomb, Xiao Zhan had said that the Han clan was far too mysterious. Even though the Xiao clan and the Han clan had been enemies for many years, the members of the clan did not dare to say that they completely understood this mysterious clan. GU Yuan was startled upon hearing this. Immediately, he shook his head once again and replied, "It is likely impossible. If the Han clan wished to force the Ling clan until such an extent, it would definitely have to launch a big campaign. Therefore, it is impossible for the GU clan to not receive any information. Additionally, even if the Han clan possessed such an ability, why would they become enemies with a faction as powerful as the Ling clan for no reason? Although the Ling clan has declined during these years, it is still not a faction that is easy to deal with." Xiao Yan slightly nodded. However, the doubt in his heart increased. If it was not the Han clan, what other faction could force the Ling clan into such a state? Could it really be due to some natural disaster? All right, these matters are not very related to you. I think that the truth will come out after an investigation. GU Yuan waved his hand. He looked at the quiet bamboo house and continued in a soft, helpless voice, "Additionally, you should not forget about the matters you promised me. Xuan-Er's bloodline is very important to the GU clan. If any problems occur, Those old fellows will become furious even if I do not do anything. Xiao Yan was a little embarrassed when he heard these words. He bitterly smiled and immediately nodded. All right, it is already quite late. You should rest. You still have to leave tomorrow morning. Ji Yuan nodded after seeing Xiao Yan nod. His body gradually paled before completely disappearing. Xiao Yan helplessly sighed as he stared at the spot where Ji Yuan disappeared. He clicked his tongue and felt as though he had not expressed himself sufficiently. When the morning sunlight scattered over this vast space the next morning, this mountain range, which had been quiet for the night, once again became lively. The sound of rushing wind continued to appear. Xiao Yan and Xuan walked out of the bamboo house when the mountain range became noisy. After which, they flew to the edge of the mountain range where a couple of enormous battleships were suspended in the air. Dark clouds rolled around, giving them a mighty appearance. Xiao Yan's eyes swept around him after he had appeared in the air. He found quite a number of familiar figures. Quan, Lin Shu, and the other top experts among the younger generation of the Jiyu clan were present. However, these people dodged his eyes with some fear. Currently, Xiao Yan's strength had soared to the peak of an 8-star Dozun. This allowed them to understand that they had lost any qualification to be arrogant in front of Xiao Yan. After all, when Xiao Yan was only a 5-star Dozun back then, he was able to defeat the 8-star Dozun Ji Yu Yao. Even less needed to be said now that his strength had soared. Currently, the only ones among the younger generation of the Jiyu clan who could fight with him were Xuan or perhaps Jiyu Qingyang. Xiao Yan detected a pair of eyes focusing on him while he was scanning the area. He immediately shifted his eyes before finally pausing them on a mountain a short distance away. A figure was standing against the wind at that spot. His black and white hair revealed his identity, Ji Yu Yao, who had been defeated by Xiao Yan half a year ago. The eyes of those two met in the air. Surprisingly, no rich sparks erupted. Ji Yu Yao's face was indifferent, and he slowly nodded to Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan was a little stunned when he saw Ji Yu Yao's slightly friendly action. Xiao Yan smiled and nodded in return. From the looks of it, Ji Yu Yao had walked out of the shadow of his failure. A young person of his talent would definitely be groomed by the Jiyu clan. His future potential would be extraordinary. Xiao Yan would have one less hidden trouble if he could maintain a good relationship with him. It was ultimately better for Xiao Yan. Although this Ji Yu Yao also had feelings for Xuan, he could be considered the type of person who could accept whatever came his way. This kind of character was rather upright. Oh wow! With an increasing number of people hurrying over, a horn sounded from the battleships in the sky. Clearly, they were about to send all these people out of the Jiyu realm. Xiao Yan. A figure suddenly walked through the air when Xiao Yan was planning to say goodbye to Xuan. Xiao Yan swept his eyes over, only to discover that this person was Yao Xingji of the Yao clan. He knit his brows and indifferently asked, "Is there something?" Xiao Yan did not really like this Yao Xingji in his heart. Hence, he was not as courteous to Yao Xingji as he was to others. Yao Xingji curled his lips when he noticed Xiao Yan's indifferent question. His heart felt quite displeased, but due to Xiao Yan's current strength, he did not utter any mocking words. He flicked his finger and an emerald-colored jade token shot toward Xiao Yan. "This is the invitation of our Yao clan's clan ceremony. Don't frown, your teacher will require it. He understands what the clan ceremony of the Yao clan represents. Trust me, he will come regardless of what kind of unhappiness he has with the Yao clan." Xiao Yan received the emerald jade token. He stared at Yao Xingji for a moment but did not return the token. Instead, he put the jade token into his storage ring. Subsequently, he cupped his hands together. "Thank you. This time, I was not able to compete with you in terms of alchemy skills. Hopefully, we will have the opportunity to do so next time." Yao Xingji cupped his fist. After which, he ceased saying anything else as he moved and swiftly boarded a battleship. Xiao Yan played with some thoughts after seeing Yao Xingji leave. Regardless of what this so-called Yao clan's clan ceremony was, he would deliver the message to teacher first. Whether he would attend would completely depend on teacher's intentions. "Xuan, it's time. I should be leaving." Xiao Yan turned his head, looked at Xuan beside him, and softly spoke. "Take care." Xuan slightly smiled and gently replied. Xiao Yan nodded with a grin. He did not delay any longer as he waved his hand and turned around. His body transformed into a light figure that leapt onto a battleship in a free and easy manner. Finally, he disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Xuan'er sighed in a lonely manner as she watched Xiaoyan's disappearing back. Oh wow! With an increasing number of people rushing onto the battleships, the siren once again resounded. Immediately, dark clouds churned and the battleships slowly shook. Finally, they turned into dark clouds in front of numerous eyes. They contained a shocking momentum as they swiftly flew toward the exit of GU realm. A, there, B, should use there in the paragraph above for this to make more sense. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 443. Chapter 1372. A completely new falling star pavilion and unusually clear lake sparkled in the middle of the GU sacred city. The sunlight scattered into many glaring rays. Kai! An intense ripple suddenly stirred on the calm lake's surface as an enormous spatial crack slowly tore through the air. Many human figures swiftly rushed out of it after it appeared. Finally, they landed on the ground, and in an instant, the somewhat quiet city had become lively again. Xiaoyan hurried out of the spatial door and finally appeared on a building. His eyes swept around. Without waiting for the members of the GU clan to come and receive him, he moved and flew toward the city gate of GU Sacred City. The experts from the GU clan acted as though they did not see him. None of them stopped him, allowing him to hurry to the city's gate before finally disappearing from their sight. Xiaoyan smoothly rushed out of GU Sacred City. Only then did he stop in the air and look at the greenery that spread to the horizon. His heart involuntarily exhaled a long breath. Although the GU realm was extremely spacious and possessed a denser energy as compared to the outside world, Xiaoyan ultimately felt that this central plains gave one an even greater freedom for some unknown reason. Next, I should hurry back to the Falling Star Pavilion. Xiaoyan did not remain in this spot for long. He took out a map to identify where he needed to go. After which, his body turned into a brilliant light that hurried to the northern horizon with lightning-like speed. Hour disappeared into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Xiaoyan did not stop for a prolonged period of time during this subsequent journey. At his full speed and with the help of a couple of spatial wormholes, he spent 5 days or so before reaching the territory controlled by the Falling Star Pavilion. Xiaoyan clearly sensed that there were many more experts' auras around him after entering the Falling Star Pavilion's territory. Some of the important cities along the way had gained 2 to 3 elite dozuns. This was a strength even within the Central Plains region. However, Xiaoyan clearly understood that with Yao Lao, this great golden signboard, it was not difficult to gather these experts to aid them. Xiaoyan felt somewhat at ease after not coming across any chaotic scenes along the way. Although the defenses had been strengthened, the pressure that a big battle created was absent. Xiaoyan did not take any short stops in the cities that belonged to the Falling Star Pavilion. He hurried to the Falling Star Pavilion. Hence, in a short half-day, he had reached the mountain range of the Falling Star Pavilion. Subsequently, he turned into a ray of light that charged into the realm where the Falling Star Pavilion was located. The atmosphere within the star realm was peaceful. Although the size of this place could not be compared with a place like the GU realm, it could still be considered similar to a city. It could accommodate over 100,000 people without any problems. Densely packed Falling Star Pavilion disciples were training in an orderly fashion in a somewhat spacious square. Numerous powerful cries gathered together, appearing like thunder that resounded all around. The current star realm undoubtedly possessed a new look when compared to the past. The originally arduous mountain range had been opened up and clusters of buildings had been built on them. Many human flows walked along them like ants, causing it to appear extremely lively. Moreover, many more powerful auras were vaguely being emitted from the enormous mountains in the middle of the star realm, covering every part of the star realm. The current star realm truly possessed an iron wall-like feeling. Kai! A ray of light suddenly flashed and appeared within the peaceful star realm. It was accompanied by an extremely wild momentum as it flew over from afar. It charged toward the mountain at the middle of the star realm. Who dares to cause trouble within the star realm? Some furious cries suddenly resounded in the sky of the star realm when the ray of light appeared. One could hear numerous swoosh sounds as many elderly figures appeared in the sky. After which, they furiously cried out in unison, "Still! The space in the sky rapidly solidified after the 10 furious elderly cries sounded. While everyone thought that the figure was about to stop, they were stunned to see that the ray of light not halt and its speed suddenly increased. It broke through the solidified space without any resistance in front of the many startled eyes. Finally, it appeared behind those elders in a ghost-like manner. "Ha ha, it has only been half a year since I left, but the defenses have become this tight." That figure stopped in front of the many gazes. Immediately, a black-robed young man with black hair slowly appeared and laughed. "Who are you?" These elders, who had attempted to stop the figure earlier, observed Xiao Yan with grave eyes. After the scene earlier, they no longer dared to underestimate this exceptionally young black-robed man. Moreover, they could sense a vague pressure radiating from his body. This kind of pressure was something that only a handful of people in the Falling Star Pavilion could make them feel. The activity in the sky attracted the attention of the Falling Star Pavilion disciples training on the ground. Many stunned gazes looked at Xiao Yan in the sky. Their mouths were amazed. It was the first time that they had witnessed the 10 guest elders not gain an advantage despite having attacked at the same time. Xiao Yan smiled in a bitter and helpless manner when he saw the uncertain eyes of those elders. He had only been away for half a year, yet almost no one recognized him. Junior Pavilion Chief. A couple of elderly figures finally rushed over from the main mountain while Xiao Yan was feeling helpless. They were initially startled before crying out in pleasant surprise. The 10 Falling Pavilion guest elders and countless Falling Star Pavilion disciples were stunned when they heard this joyous cry. Their eyes glanced at Xiao Yan with some disbelief. Xiao Yan's reputation was quite great within the Falling Star Pavilion, but it had only been a short while since many people had come to the Falling Star Pavilion. Hence, this was the first time many people had seen him. He is actually that Junior Pavilion Chief of our Falling Star Pavilion. He, Junior Pavilion Chief is really handsome. Stop being, boy crazy. How can someone like the Junior Pavilion Chief fancy us? I heard that the Junior Pavilion Chief is also the pill gathering champion. He is also an elite Dozun. I joined the Falling Star Pavilion because of him. It is unexpected that I have finally seen this legendary person today. Quote ellipsis, quote. While many heated conversations sprung up below, a yellow-robed elder, who seemed to be the leader of the group of guest elders, hurriedly came forward and greeted Xiao Yan. Although he was older than Xiao Yan, the stronger person was the master. Currently, Xiao Yan's achievements in every aspect were far from what the guest elders could compare with. Hence, their tones were naturally extremely polite. They did not dare to be the least bit disrespectful. Elder is too courteous. Xiao Yan faintly smiled, after which, his eyes swept around him before an admiration appeared in them. The Falling Star Pavilion had undergone a drastic change during this short half a year. With such a large number of experts guarding it, it was likely that even the Hun clan would not dare to easily attack. From the auras that he could sense on the surface, the strength of the current Falling Star Pavilion was not weaker than the Profound Sky Sect or the Flower Sect. Moreover, the Falling Star Pavilion may have even surpassed them. Ha, you have finally returned. The space behind Xiao Yan fluctuated while his eyes swept across the star realm. An elderly figure slowly appeared. That figure was surprisingly Yao Lao. Teacher. Xiao Yan hurriedly bowed and respectfully greeted Yao Lao. Greetings, Pavilion Chief. The guest elders by the side also respectfully greeted Yao Lao when he appeared. Yao Lao seldomly revealed himself, so Yao Lao was a mysterious existence in the eyes of these guest elders. It was unexpected that he would personally come and receive this Junior Pavilion Chief the moment he appeared. You have become rather refined after a trip to the GU realm. Yao Lao smiled and shook his head. He waved his hand at the guest elders. After which, he swept his eyes over Xiao Yan and some satisfaction surfaced in them. He said, not bad, within half a year, you have advanced to an 8-star Dozun from a 5-star Dozun. It looks like you have gained a lot from this trip. Some shock appeared in the eyes of those guest elders when they heard Yao Lao's praise. This person was indeed worthy of being the Junior Pavilion Chief. Such an increase was really too frightening. Xiao Yan smiled. With Yao Lao's strength, he was naturally able to see through Xiao Yan, who subsequently nodded in reply. Let's go. We'll head down first. I have waited a long time for your return. Yao Lao spoke with a smile. Xiao Yan nodded. His eyes swept around him before he frowned. He softly asked, Teacher, has the little fairy doctor and the rest not returned? They have returned, but they left again. Yao Lao replied. Left? Where? Xiao Yan asked in a startled voice. This is also the reason I have been waiting for you. We received some news soon after you entered the heavenly tomb. After which, I asked the little fairy doctor and the rest to quickly return. After which, they hurried to the Jia Ma Empire. Jia Ma Empire? The familiar name caused Xiao Yan to feel stunned. However, it only lasted for an instant before his face experienced a drastic change. Something happened to the Yan Alliance? Jia Ma Empire? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 444. Chapter 1373. The Turbulence of the Northwestern Continent. Yao Lao slowly nodded when he saw the sudden change in Xiao Yan's expression. He said, rather, it should be said that the entire northwestern region of the continent is in trouble. What happened? Xiao Yan knit his eyebrows. The northwestern continent did not have as many experts as the Central Plains. There might be an uncountable number of sects and empires, but all of them were ultimately in dispute with each other. Although some strong factions intended to dominate everyone, they were ultimately unable to achieve their aim. Moreover, the so-called strong factions in the northwestern region of the continent would only be Tier 1 factions in the Central Plains. They would not be any stronger than the 4 Pavilion factions. Hence, some of the factions and experts within the Central Plains did not place much importance on any other region. Originally, the northwestern continent was not in turmoil, but a year ago, a faction known as the Profound Lion sect suddenly began to engage in a large-scale war. No one was a match for the experts from the sect. Within less than half a year, nearly half of the northwestern continent ended up under the control of the Profound Lion sect. Yao Lao slowly landed on a mountain as he softly explained. Profound Lion sect? Are they very strong? Xiao Yan frowned and asked. Although the northwestern continent did not have as many hidden experts as the Central Plains, it was an extremely large stretch of land and there were naturally many Do-Zun class experts. However, relying on the strength of a sect to occupy half of the northwestern continent was something that would cause others to feel some disbelief. Although the Profound Lion sect can be ranked among the top 10 in the northwestern continent, it is not unbeatable. This time around, their strength suddenly soared. Moreover, they gained many powerful mysterious experts. Yao Lao replied in a faint voice. There is some other mysterious faction interfering in the northwestern region of the continent? Xiao Yan was startled. The factions in the Central Plains were extremely strong, but they ultimately looked down on the other parts of the continent that were not part of the Central Plains. Hence, rarely would factions interfere in the matters of other regions. After all, these areas were extremely chaotic, and even if they could secretly control the regions, it would not benefit them. They might end up losing more than they would gain. Hall of Souls? Xiao Yan frowned. Suddenly he saw Yao Lao's solemn expression. His heart shook as he made a guess. That's right. Yao Lao nodded. He continued, based on the situation that was transmitted back, many Hall of Souls experts have indeed appeared with the Profound Lion sect. Why would the Hall of Souls have nothing better to do than to head to the northwestern region of the continent and stir up such a big war? Gathering souls, the factions in the Central Plains are interrelated and complicated. Even the Hall of Souls would not dare to easily start a big war, but the situation is different in the northwestern continent. Given the strength of the Hall of Souls, it is dominant enough to wage a one-sided war. All they need to do is appear after the battle and collect a countless number of souls. Yao Lao knit his brows and explained the situation. Why are they anxiously using such a method to gather spiritual bodies now? In the past, the Hall of Souls would only quietly gather souls. They have never started a big war before. Xiao Yan asked uncertainly. The Hall of Souls definitely has many schemes to gather souls. However, I am also uncertain of the reason. Back then, they only wanted me to join them after capturing me. I am aware that they are interested in my alchemist skills. All I can do is refine medicinal pills, but the overwhelming and mysterious strength of the Hall of Souls chief requires a Tier 9 medicinal pill. However, it is not easy to refine such a medicinal pill. Yao Lao softly sighed and replied. Xiao Yan's heart had become a little heavy for some unknown reason after hearing Yao Lao's soft sigh. Although he was not aware what the Hall of Souls was planning, he was certain that they were definitely preparing for a great scheme. Otherwise, why would they gather so many souls? Moreover, They had clearly increased their gathering rate. Could it be that they could not endure any longer? Hun Clan, just what exactly are you planning? The northwestern continent is in chaos and the profound Lion sect continues to expand their territory. Those who do not submit to them would have their sect or empire destroyed. This has undoubtedly greatly increased the speed at which the Hall of Souls are gathering spiritual bodies. The quality might not be high, but they can make up for it with quantity. Yao Lao glanced at Xiao Yan as he said, "As for your Yan alliance, it has already become a powerful alliance that could be ranked among the top 3 of the northwestern continent after being developed by Medusa and the rest during these years. Normally speaking, the profound Lion sect is no match for the Yan alliance. Unfortunately, there is the addition of the Hall of Souls. With the aid of the experts from the Hall of Souls, the Yan alliance can only end up at a disadvantage. A couple of months ago, the territory of the Yan alliance shrank. They are gradually shrinking back toward the Jia-Ma Empire. We have also obtained news about it at that time. The little fairy doctor and the rest hurried to the Jia-Ma Empire after obtaining this news. Qing Tan also followed because the fate of the Sky Serpent Mansion is similarly quite bad. Xiao Yan's expression was gloomy. This damn Hall of Souls never stopped causing trouble for even a moment. I have also dispatched some experts from the Falling Star Pavilion to follow the little fairy doctor's group when they left. However, I think that they will find it difficult to handle the situation." Xiao Yan nodded. He clenched his hand and said, "Looks like I will also have to hurry back." The Yan alliance had Medusa, his big brother, second brother, and all the members of the Xiao clan. Hence, he needed to reveal himself when the Yan alliance faced such trouble. Yao Lao was unsurprised when he heard Xiao Yan's words. He nodded slightly and said, This time around, I will dispatch some elders from the Falling Star Pavilion, who are 5-star dozuns, with you when you head to the Jia-Ma Empire. Moreover, they are privy to more information than you. They will help you understand the situation of the northwestern continent. I will personally remain in the Falling Star Pavilion to guard against any Hall of Souls schemes of diverting our strength away." Xiao Yan hesitated for a moment before nodding. "We will put the matter of the purifying demonic lotus flame aside for now. In any case, there's still some time before the spatial trade fair begins. Before that, we must resolve the trouble of the Yan alliance." Yao Lao smiled and continued, "Don't rush and leave today. The Central Plains region and the northwestern continent are too far apart. You would need over 2 months to fly back. Hence, we must build a wormhole." Xiao Yan was startled when he heard this. A wormhole was something that could be built by anyone who had reached the Dozun class. However, building a lengthy wormhole that stretched from Central Plains to the northwestern continent was not something that an ordinary Dozun could achieve. Fortunately, Yao Lao's strength was currently at the Ban Sheng class. It should not be too difficult to build. I used a temporarily wormhole to send the little fairy doctor's group away. Since then, I have been preparing a stable wormhole. Once it is successfully built, it will become a pathway that connects the Falling Star Pavilion to the northwestern continent. Once you take over the Falling Star Pavilion in the future, the Falling Star Pavilion and the Yan alliance will merge." Yao Lao laughed. Xiao Yan nodded and sighed in relief. If they could really build a wormhole that connected to the northwestern continent, it would undoubtedly save him a great deal of time. "Rest for today. You have been tired during this period of time." Yao Lao spoke with a smile. Xiao Yan did not reject the offer. He nodded before suddenly recalling something. After which, he took the emerald jade token that Yao Xingji had given him out of his storage ring and handed it to Yao Lao. "This is the Yao ceremony, clan ceremony, invitation of the Yao clan. They asked me to hand it to teacher." Yao Lao's hand immediately trembled when he heard the words, Yao ceremony, clan ceremony. Although it was minor, it did not escape Xiao Yan's eyes. Yao Lao's eyes stared at the emerald jade token. It was a long time later before he inhaled a deep breath of air. His hand trembled as he slowly received it. Finally, he put it in his storage ring and softly said, "Don't be concerned about this matter. We should build the wormhole." Xiao Yan nodded. Although Yao Lao did not display much on his face, Xiao Yan could still sense that Yao Lao's heart was not calm. It seems that teacher will not reject this Yao ceremony, clan ceremony, invitation just as Yao Xingji had claimed. I wonder just what this Yao ceremony is to cause Yao Lao to show such a reaction. Yao Lao merely smiled when he saw Xiao Yan's flickering eyes, but he did not explain about the Yao ceremony. He gently patted Xiao Yan's shoulders and laughed. "Leave, go back to your room and rest. It is likely that this half a year has not been relaxing. I would like to allow you to rest properly for some time." Xiao Yan shook his head in an unconcerned manner. He was used to running around after years of training. One must ultimately pay in order to protect things. However, the thing that caused Xiao Yan to feel a little pleased was that the current him was not like himself from back when he needed Yao Lao's help in order to do anything. Now, he was a true top-tier expert who could carry his own weight. "Once I finish building the wormhole, you will be able to travel to the northwestern region of the continent." "Ha, now that I think about it, it has been many years since you left. It is time to return and take a look." Yao Lao spoke in a somewhat harsh tone. When Xiao Yan had left the Jia Ma Empire for the first time back then, he had been a tender youth. The youth from back then has become a renowned top-notch expert across the continent. Xiao Yan quietly nodded. His heart also felt a sense of lose. Without realizing it, he had been away from the Jia Ma Empire for many years. He wondered just how Big Brother, Second Brother, and the rest had been during these years, especially Medusa. If that's how much time had passed, it was likely his child was already 4 or 5 years old. If that's the case, it seems that I have become a father. A special feeling involuntarily rose within Xiao Yan's heart when he thought of this. It was as though his heart had matured once again at this moment. A northwest part of the continent instead? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 445. Chapter 1374. Accepting disciple Yu Quan. Xiao Yan's subsequent days after returning to the Falling Star Pavilion had become a lot more relaxing. He stayed in the Falling Star Pavilion all day and would occasionally appear to give advice to the disciples of the Falling Star Pavilion. Forget about the ordinary disciples. With his current strength and reputation, it was likely that the experience of even some guest elders in the Falling Star Pavilion might not be able to compare to him. 3 days slowly passed amid this feeling of leisure. The wormhole that Yao Lao was building gradually neared completion. Many Falling Star Pavilion disciples were gathered in a spacious training ground in the Star Realm. They were undertaking training and sparring that they had to perform daily. However, most of the eyes in the training ground were gathered on the middle of the training ground. A young man in black robes was pointing out the inadequacies of some disciples when they unleashed their Do skills. His laughing and relaxed appearance vaguely gave him the look of a Grand Master. Many Falling Star Pavilion's disciples felt envious in their hearts as they watched him. A group of young ladies, who were wearing tight brilliant clothes, had gathered in one corner of the training ground. They were laughing with each other. Their lovely wind chime-like laughter caused the hearts of some surrounding men to shake. Their eyes were involuntarily thrown over. There was a lady in pale red clothes standing in the middle of this group of young ladies. Her delicate and soft waist with her long legs undoubtedly caused her to be the most eye-catching existence within the training ground. However, this red-clothed young lady's eyes were observing the smiling black-clothed young man in the distance. Little senior sister Yu Quan is finally attracted to someone? A young lady by the side suddenly laughed in a delicate voice while the lady in red was focusing on Xiao Yan. "What nonsense are you spouting?" Hearing this, the face of that young lady called Yu Quan reddened as she chided. Little senior sister Yu Quan, you are the person with the most outstanding talent among this younger generation of the Falling Star Pavilion. Even the pavilion chief was disturbed during the test back then. Therefore, you need not feel inferior despite the unique status of the junior pavilion chief. A young lady covered her mouth and laughed. What nonsense! This little talent of mine is nothing in the eyes of the junior pavilion chief. Yu Quan shook her head, but a faint joy flashed across her bright eyes. A young lady ultimately yearned for love. The young geniuses she had met, who thought highly of themselves, were nothing compared to Xiao Yan, who did not put on the airs of a junior pavilion chief. Why doesn't little senior sister ask junior pavilion chief for advice? You will only have a chance if you come into contact with him. Otherwise, there will be no hope. A young lady urged. Yu Quan hesitated for a moment upon hearing this. She softly said, "It's not very suitable, right? What should we do if we disturb young pavilion chief? It's fine. Little senior sister is someone our Falling Star Pavilion needs to groom." The Junior Pavilion Chief will definitely not find it troublesome for the sake of strengthening the Falling Star Pavilion. Stop pushing. I will go all right. Xiao Yan studied the small red face of the red-clothed young lady standing on the training ground in front of him. He smiled and asked, "You are called Quan, right? I heard teacher mention you." Xiao Yan's eyes observed this young lady in front of him while he spoke. Although this young lady appeared a little young, she was undoubtedly a perfect beauty. Once she grew up, she would definitely become a little witch that would cause a countless number of men to risk themselves for her. Of course, her appearance was not what Xiao Yan valued. Instead, it was her outstanding training talent. A young lady who was not even 17 was still at a budding age, but this Quan had already stepped into the Do Wang class. Even within the Central Plains, obtaining such an achievement at this age was outstanding. If she was given sufficient time, her achievements would be frightening. No wonder teacher has reminded me time and again. If his elderly self had not decided that he would not accept any other disciples, this Quan would have become my little junior. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. He finally understood why Yao Lao had mentioned something about Quan to him a couple of days earlier. Quan immediately nodded when she learned that Xiao Yan was aware of her name. Her thin, delicate face was covered with some excitement. "Junior Pavilion Chief, may I take some of your time to give me some advice?" Quan's face reddened. However, she still summoned her courage and uttered these words. "Practice your skills in front of me." Xiao Yan smiled and softly replied. "Understood." Quan's small heart quietly pounded when she experienced Xiao Yan's gentleness. She hurriedly displayed a palm do skill that she had recently practiced. Xiao Yan by the side stood with his hands behind him. He watched Quan unleash a D-class palm technique in an extremely smooth fashion, causing him to involuntarily nod. He pointed out some minor flaws. The thing that caused Xiao Yan to be stunned was that Quan had corrected these flaws soon after he had identified them. Her comprehension speed caused him to involuntarily shake his head and sigh. This woman was really talented and intelligent. If she was properly groomed, she could become a top expert within the Central Plains in the future. Some perspiration surfaced on Quan's forehead after completing his palm technique, but her eyes were filled with joy. Her peripheral vision secretly glanced at Xiao Yan as she uncertainly asked, "Junior Pavilion Chief, how did Quan perform?" "Oh, very good." Xiao Yan smiled and nodded. He hesitated for a moment after seeing the brilliance on Quan's little face. Finally, he said, "There's something. I wonder if you are interested?" "What is it?" Quan hurriedly asked when she heard his inquiry. Xiao Yan founded his chin. He studied Quan before replying a moment later, "Be my disciple." Xiao Yan felt it was rather ridiculous in his heart when he uttered these words. It was unexpected that there would be a moment when he uttered these words, but this was not his intention. Yao Lao valued Quan's talent, but he did not wish to accept another disciple. Hence, he had given Xiao Yan this task. Being Xiao Yan's teacher, it wouldn't be out of ordinary for him to teach any disciple that Xiao Yan accepted. "Huh?" Quan was immediately startled when she heard Xiao Yan's words. She lowered her head and did not speak. Xiao Yan became embarrassed when he saw Quan's reaction. It was unexpected that he was receiving such treatment the first time he uttered these words. "Junior Pavilion Chief, can I be just a disciple in name?" Quan's frowned and mused for a moment before she finally opened her mouth and asked. Cough. Quan's words caused Xiao Yan to cough. Life was really too sad. With his current status, many people would be rushing over if he really wished to accept a disciple, yet this young lady in front of him was full of conditions. "All right, up to you." Xiao Yan helplessly shook his head. In any case, the one doing the teaching would not be him. Whether it was only in name or not, it was unrelated to him. A joyous smile immediately surfaced on Quan's small face when she heard this. A disciple in name. Once she became strong enough in the future, this would not have a binding effect. The whatever ethics would not be much of a problem. Xiao Yan was naturally unaware of the thoughts of his newly accepted disciple in name in front of him. If he was aware of them, he would have thought about kicking her out. She was so young, but she was already thinking such thoughts. Buzz. The space in the interior of the star realm suddenly fluctuated while Xiao Yan was helplessly shaking his head. A partially present spatial sound was spreading from the back mountain of the star realm. Xiao Yan was startled when he sensed this spatial fluctuation, but soon a joy surfaced in his eyes. The wormhole has been successfully built. Quan, I will make a trip to the back mountain. I will leave for a period of time a couple of days later. You should go and find Grand Teacher. He will teach you. Xiao Yan turned his head and smiled as he informed Quan. Yes, Junior Pavilion Chief. Quan's small face immediately became a little bitter when she heard that Xiao Yan would be leaving for a period of time. She could only nod her head. You should not address me like this now. Xiao Yan involuntarily became eager when he saw the bitter expression on Quan's small pretty face. He smiled and reprimanded her. Yes, teacher. Quan's pretty face reddened when she saw the teasing expression on Xiao Yan's face. She could only address him in a whisper. Xiao Yan smiled in satisfaction when he heard her words. He rubbed Quan's small head and smiled as he said, "Do your best. I hope that you will have advanced to the Do Huang class the next time I return." Xiao Yan did not remain any longer after his words sounded. His body moved, and he turned into a ray of light. After which, he rushed to the back mountain where the spatial ripple was being emitted in front of many respectful gazes. Quan lowered her little face after seeing Xiao Yan disappear into the distance. She spoke in a somewhat dispirited manner, "It's over, I have become Junior Pavilion Chief's disciple. My chances will become a lot lower in the future. No, I cannot give up. My status as a disciple is only in name. I must persevere to the end." Quan clenched her little fist when she spoke. After which, she gently grabbed at Xiao Yan's distant back. It appeared as though she wished to pull him into her palm. A teacher can also be groomed. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Continuing from the previous episode 446. Chapter 1375, Inviting Helpers. As Xiao Yan hurried to the back mountain in the Star Realm, a 100-foot large dark black hole slowly appeared on a stone platform atop a mountain. A wild and violent spatial force was erupting from within and swiftly spreading apart. "Teacher, have you succeeded?" Xiao Yan's body moved, and he appeared a short distance away from the wormhole. He studied the elderly figure and joyously inquired. "I." Yao Lao smiled and nodded. He immediately turned around, looked at Xiao Yan, and asked, "Have you met that little girl?" Xiao Yan naturally understood that Yao Lao was referring to Quan by that little girl. He bitterly smiled and nodded. He said, "I have met her. Her talent is indeed extremely outstanding. If she is properly groomed, her achievements are bound to be extraordinary. Have you accepted her as a disciple?" Yao Lao softly laughed. His eyes were usually very picky. There were very few people who could catch his eye. This pickiness was enough to show just how great Quan's talent was. Xiao Yan nodded once again. He roughly explained the matter earlier. When Yao Lao heard that Quan was willing to only be a disciple in name, he involuntarily laughed out loud. Immediately, he shook his head and laughed. "It's fine if it is just in name. In any case, you need not worry about these matters." When will I set off?" Xiao Yan nodded and quickly asked. "I'm afraid that we must wait a few more days. The wormhole has been successfully built, but it is still not stable. Moreover, I think that we should find some helpers during these next few days. There will definitely be many experts from the Hall of Souls on the Profound Lion Sect's side. Hence, we should be fully prepared." Yao Lao explained. "Other helpers?" Xiao Yan frowned. Those who could get involved must be experts who had reached the Do Zun class. However, it was already not bad that the Falling Star Pavilion could take out over a dozen guest elders, but where could they find other people? Ha! Have you forgotten the gathering ability of an alchemist? I have already got people to spread the news that we are inviting experts from all over. However, the condition is that one must have reached the Do Zun class. The reward will be 3 Tier 8 medicinal pills each. The number of pill lightning colors that the Tier 8 medicinal pills possess will be determined by their respective strengths and their contributions. Yao Lao cunningly smiled and explained. "I believe that many people will come. At that time, you will lead them to the northwestern region of the continent, and then attack the Profound Lion Sect to quickly end the war." Xiao Yan nodded and helplessly asked, "Isn't this a little too generous? 3 Tier 8 medicinal pills each? It would be quite a big sum should 20 to 30 people come." "Relax, there should not be a problem as long as it is a medicinal pill below the 9th tier." Yao Lao smiled in an unconcerned manner. With his current ability, his chances of successfully refining a Tier 8 medicinal pill were quite high. Hence, it might be a little troublesome, but he was still able to fork over these medicinal pills. Xiao Yan could only nod his head when he heard this. If he were to head to the northwestern region of the continent alone, he would end up quite tired even if he possessed the ability to turn things around. If there was a large group of helpers, things would undoubtedly be much more relaxed. In that case, we'll wait a couple more days. With the wormhole completely built, the star realm had suddenly become lively during the next few days. There was only one reason for the liveliness. It was because of the invitation that Yao Lao had issued. Back then, Yao Lao possessed the great ability of gathering people. Now that he had already advanced into the Ban Shen class, his summoning ability had been strengthened. Hence, the entire Central Plains turned into an uproar once the invitation was issued. 3 Tier 8 medicinal pills possessed a powerful allure even for an elite Do Zun. Things were still fine for the experts who belonged to specific sects. They did not dare to randomly accept any invitations due to the potential implications, but the Central Plains was filled with hidden experts. Naturally, it did not lack people who trained alone and possessed an extremely great strength. Due to not being restrained, they appeared to possess a greater freedom. Hence, they did not hesitate after receiving such an invitation. They hurried to the Falling Star Pavilion. Xiao Yan was extremely stunned at what Yao Lao's invitation brought. Only then did he truly feel terrified by Yao Lao's ability to gather people. However, he had somewhat underestimated himself. He was currently not some unknown person in the Central Plains. He was a Tier 8 alchemist guru. If this identity was displayed, people would naturally be courteous to him, but ever since Xiao Yan had arrived in the Central Plains, the factions that he had made contact with were extraordinary. Hence, he was not able to sense some of the benefits that this guru status brought him. The Falling Star Pavilion was lively for a full 3 days because of the invitation. Yao Lao personally picked the people during these 3 days. He had chosen 20 experts from among those who had come because of the invitation. The strength of these 20 people were all at least 3-star Do Zuns. 3 of them had even reached the 8th star of the Do Zun level. They were a little weaker than Xiao Yan. Dozens of figures stood in air on the back mountain of the Star Realm 3 days later. Wave after wave of a vast and mighty aura spread out and rippled around. This area seemed to tremble because of the frightening pressure that was concentrated here. Everyone, I think that all of you are aware of the aim of this trip. Once we arrive at the northwestern region of the continent, I hope that everyone will listen to my commands. Xiao Yan stood in front of the many figures and spoke with a faint smile. Junior Pavilion Chief, please rest assured. A mere faction from a barbaric place is nothing. The 20 invited experts smiled and nodded when faced with Xiao Yan's words. Although Xiao Yan was younger than them, his powerful aura made them aware that this young man was stronger than all of them. Hence, they did not resist being ordered by him. Moreover, all of them were clearly aware of the identity of this young man. Junior Pavilion Chief need not worry. We have been invited by Pavilion Chief Yao. Naturally, we will not change our minds midway through. After all, we have only obtained half of our reward. A red-faced elder leading the group laughed with great strength. In that case, I will trouble old Mr. Hu. Xiao Yan cupped his hands to the red-faced elder. This person was the strongest among the 20 people that had been invited this time around. His strength had reached that of an 8-star Do Zun. Moreover, it was worth mentioning that he and the other 2 experts who had reached the 8th star were triplets. The 3 of them had begun training when they were born. None of them had married and had a child even now. The 3 of them were just like Siamese babies that never betrayed each other. Hence, the cooperation between the 3 was extremely great. If they were to join hands, they would be able to fight even a 9-star elite Do Zun. Xiao Yan's eyes slid to Yao Lao after he spoke. He declared, "We will set off now." These fellows have only come after being invited. There is no need to trust them. On the other hand, you can trust these 10 guest elders. They are much more aware of the news in the northwestern continent than you. Yao Lao nodded. He pointed at the 10 elders in Falling Star Pavilion robes around him as he softly spoke. Xiao Yan quietly sighed in his heart when he saw these 10 guest elders. Yao Lao was allowing him to bring half of the Falling Star Pavilion's strength with him. However, everything should be fine since Yao Lao, who had reached the Ban Shen class, was personally standing guard. In addition to these Falling Star Pavilion's guest elders, Xiao Yan's side would have over 30 people on this journey. Moreover, they were all elite Do Zuns. Xiao Yan felt a little unusual when he thought of this. Such a lineup was quite a powerful existence even in the Central Plains. It would likely not be difficult to even eliminate a large Central Plains faction like the Ice River Valley. In the face of such a lineup, it was likely that the Profound Lion sect would have difficulty obtaining the upper hand even with the support of the Hall of Souls. This time around, Xiao Yan's group had really forked out a bunch of capital. Yao Lao grinned after seeing that everyone was prepared. He slowly stepped forward and gently waved his sleeve. The wormhole on the top of the mountain suddenly began to fluctuate after Yao Lao waved his sleeve. A wild and violent spatial fluctuation spread from it as a thunder-like sound was emitted from the wormhole. This sound continuously reverberated over the surrounding sky. When the spatial ripple was emitted, the wormhole began to slowly rotate. Wave after wave of faint suction forces spread out of it. Xiao Yan, this is the wormhole scroll. It has yet to be fixed on the other side. After you arrive, all you need to do is find a safe place and open it. After which, it will be possible to form a tunnel that will remain at that spot forever. Yao Lao flicked his finger. A black scroll flew toward Xiao Yan. It was covered in a frightening spatial strength. Xiao Yan carefully received the scroll and placed it in his storage ring. After which, he turned to the wormhole and inhaled a deep breath of air before suddenly waving his hand. Let's go! Xiao Yan was the first to move after his voice sounded. He turned into a black figure that flew into the dark black wormhole. Jia Ma Empire, Big Brother, Second Brother, Kai Lin. I have returned. Xiao Yan curled his hand when his body entered the wormhole before slowly tightening it. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible.